Romeo, a big galoot of a linebacker you might be familiar with. Ted Johnson is also in studio.
Hey,
with
Coach,
us.
how you doing? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Ted, it's my pleasure. Sounds like you guys are hard at work, so let's get to it.
You got it. Hey, we're just kind of talking and reminiscing a little bit, and I've come to realize that you've coached me more than any other coach in my NFL career, at least. You were with your D-line coach 95, 96 under Parcells, and then D coordinator under Belichick. But I want to talk, Rack. We're reminiscing. We're going back in time, and we're, focusing on those championship teams. You coached the championship defense 01, 03, 04. What were some of your memories about those defenses? Just the characteristics, the players. What do you remember about those defenses in those early 2000s on the Patriots?
Well, Ted, I thought all the guys were hardworking guys. They paid attention in the meeting room. They were able to make adjustments on the sideline, when things came up. And as a result of the toughness that they had, the physicalness, I think that wore some people down on the other side of the ball, and that just helped us quite a bit.
It did against the Colts for sure, and specifically there was a couple of game plans that we always talk about. The one against Marshall Faulk, in the Super Bowl 36, and then we played the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. We went from a starting the game in base 3-4 to a 4-3 front and a nickel and threw people up, but a lot of big characteristic was our ability to adapt and change and do things on the fly, and that was a big part of our defenses as well, right?
Well, it sure was, and that was one of the things that made it successful, our ability to change on the fly. That's one of the things that we did a lot, was we tried to evaluate what the opponent was doing to us or trying to do to us, and then we wanted to take away their good things, the things that they liked and wanted to do. We try to take those away. And if that was 3-4 or 4-3, as the game started to move toward the passing game a little bit more, then we would flip to that nickel, and personnel. We were able to have the personnel to throw in as we needed to, and it worked out really good for us.
I'd say so.
Romeo,
yeah.
Obviously, Bill Belichick has a reputation. The word has been thrown around here of late, hard ass. And I don't think you had that same reputation. A lot of people looked at you as more of the grandfatherly type who got along with players. Was that part of your role, you think, as defensive coordinator here, sort of being maybe the intermediary or the bridge between Bill and all these veteran players and what could be a very demanding environment?
Well, I think as it turned out, that's kind of the role that I end up playing, because Belichick can be a hard ass, but then after the football season, he's kind of a normal guy, but during the season, he's into a different mode. I think myself, I think the guys felt like that I did care about them and I wanted them to do good, and that I was willing to listen to them, when they were doing it a particular way. They would say, well, why can't I do it this way? And then we would talk about how they were doing it and how we're supposed to do it and needed to do it. And then, boom, they took that and ran with it. I discovered during my coaching career, because I used to yell and scream a lot early on.
Yeah, I got to tell, hey, Coach, one of Rack's, you always would hear Rack's voice at the start of practice, and he always was yelling at you, hurry, hurry, hurry. I've heard that sound of Rack saying, hurry, 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 is in my mind for the rest of my life, Rack. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I did have a little volume with my voice.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? I realized and found out that no player intentionally goes out to screw it up. Okay? They don't go out to screw it up on purpose. A lot of times when they screw up, they're trying to make a play. And then what we have to do as coaches is we have to get them to understand that you are part of this system. And the system can make a play if you do your job. And so then the philosophy of do your job first and then help out. That's what I tell them all the time, because working with the defensive line, we started off as a two-gap team, and guys were lining head up on the offensive guy, and they had to hit him in the chest and basically try to control two gaps, which that's hard to do, And so then when you see the runner coming, if you jump off your block, you create more space for somebody else. So you have to be the discipline that it takes to stay on your block where you can still win your gap, all right? And then count on the guy behind you that he was going to do his job and he was going to win his gap. And so, boom, we had some physical linebackers that we played with, and so that they were able to win those gaps.
Hey, Coach, they don't make those 3-4 linebackers like they used to, huh?
They sure don't. They really don't.
Coach, we were going through your incredible resume just for a moment before you came on, and you really have such a unique career in terms of the stops you've had and the different jobs you've had. So from when you started to when you finished up from the 80s to the 2020s, what were some of the differences you noted, not only in the X's and O's part of football, but engaging with players on the field and off the field, and the way you kind of saw the game change?
Well, the biggest change is in the style of play, and it started off in the West Coast, and they wanted to spread the field and throw the ball all over the place. And when they had some success with it, football is a copycat league. And so when they had some success, other people started doing that. And so now then we went from the 3 yards and cloud of dust philosophy to let's spread them out and open the game up. And so as that began to happen and occur defensively, we had to get out of the 3 down and cloud of dust mentality, because guys were not running it up the middle. They were throwing the ball outside, and they were matching up, getting fast guys on slower guys and trying to take advantage of it. So we had to adapt as we went along. And I think that's been the biggest change over my career, is going from basically a run-stopping defense, then generating to a pass coverage defense and being able to stop them there. But I tell everybody, and even as this game, I see it, and they're throwing the ball all over the place, you still have to stop the run. And if you cannot stop the run, offenses will hand the ball off and let them run. And the nickel defenses that they're going against, it's easier for them to do that, because they got smaller linebackers now, and they're not as physical. And so that opens the game up quite a bit.
Rack, it's I love that you're saying that you still got to stop the run, that's still an important part of the game, because isn't that kind of like how you, in theory, like we stopped Peyton Manning, for instance? We had our best success against Peyton when we had 2 safeties deep, right? So if you're going to have 2 safeties deep, you can only have 7 in the box. So you got to be able to stop Edgerrin with 7 in the box so that you could stop Peyton with always having 2 safeties deep, right? So it works together. To be able to stop, you don't want to have to bring a guy down in the box if you can help it, because that's when the quarterbacks go to work. So stopping the run, theoretically, is almost like stopping the pass. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, sure it is. And my philosophy, definitely, that's a fair thing to say. Because if you can't stop the run, I'm telling you, they'll hand the ball off. They just hand it off if you can't stop the run. And that's happening in today's game a little bit, when these nickel defenses are out there, and now everybody's rushing the passer, and they hand the ball off, and these guys can run for a ton. Now, there's some pretty good runners still running. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And you got to load up against those guys. But I think that our success occurred because we were able to stop the run, and we could be disciplined enough up front, linebackers physical enough, and enough coverage ability to cover the intermediate routes. And then with those 2 deep safeties, it made it tougher on the offenses.
Former 3-time Super Bowl champion defensive coordinator Romeo Crennel joining us here on WEEI Afternoons. And Coach Crennel, I wanted to ask you, between your first stint in New England with Parcells and your second stint with Belichick, those coaching staffs were littered with talented coaches. I mean, feels like everybody went on to be a head coach somewhere. Al Groh, you, Romeo, Josh McDaniels.
Mangini, yeah.
What were those rooms like? Those coaching rooms, those coaches' meetings when you look back on it now?
Well, I think that when the whole staff meeting, because of the head coach's personality, boom, they ran those staff meetings because they got us to coach the way that we needed to coach and present the game plans that we needed to present. Okay. Now then, when the head coach is out of there and we're in our own little deal with the defensive staff or the offensive staff, now there can be more of an exchange of ideas and how we discuss players and what we felt about them and how we could use them. And those things occurred on each side of the ball at that point. But they were good. I mean, we had smart guys, hardworking coaches, and I think that that's part of being successful in this league too. You got to have guys who are sharp, guys who will work hard, and not look to take the lunch home at 5 o'clock.
Hey, Rack, and that brings me to the next question. And you talk about hardworking and tough. That's new head coach for the New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel. I'd love to get your thoughts. Obviously, you coached Mike for a long time. He's now, the head coach for the Patriots. What do you think? What do you think about that hire? And what should the Patriots fans expect from Mike Vrabel?
Well, I think that they should expect the same type player he was when he was in New England. He was tough, hard-nosed, no-nonsense player, and he's a tough, hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach. He coaches the guys hard. He presents good plans to them. The thing that I like about his situation there is he knows the situation, and he knows many of the people there. They know him, all right? And it seems like that they're going to let him do what he thinks he needs to do to create a winner. And so I think that he will be good for New England, and New England is good for him.
Coach, this question is a bit outside your purview, but it's something that you saw develop while you were with New England. Should Adam Vinatieri have been a Hall of Famer? Because we certainly believe so.
I believe so also. I'm telling you, he was, in my mind, he's money. Okay, He was money for us. And maybe he didn't get it this time, but I think that his name is on the list and he's out there. And, sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer to get the recognition they deserve. And I think that he'll be one of those guys that gets his recognition.
Romeo, I know it was a long time ago. You started your college coaching, your coaching career in college. Were you surprised to see Bill Belichick join the college football ranks as head coach at North Carolina? What was your reaction to that?
I was a little surprised, because Bill has been a pro guy all his life, really. When he graduated college, he started working in the pros, volunteered in the pros, and worked his way up to become the great coach that he is. And it surprised me a little bit. But then, as I think about it, Bill is a guy who wants control and to be in control. And maybe he didn't get a couple of jobs that he interviewed for because maybe people were afraid of him and his desire to have control. So he set out a year, evaluated everything in his life and about football. And when this situation with North Carolina came along, there was an opportunity for him to be back in control. It's a good school. They have good education, good football, good basketball, as he will tell you. And so I think it will work out for him. Now, there are some things that he will have to deal with that he didn't have to deal with on the professional level, like the NILs and the transfer portal and the turnover that you end up having on your team. But he can handle turnover. I mean, we released the defensive captain before the first game one time.
We had him on earlier this week, Coach. We had a lawyer on a few days ago talking about that. So yeah, it's a good thing to bring up. Absolutely.
Yeah, and for him to make that move, I mean, it's the first game of the regular season, and we're getting ready to play Buffalo. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, we could have used them against Buffalo that day, for sure.
We sure could have.
Yeah, right. Hey, Rack, we'll leave you with this. I'm just curious if Romeo Crennel was the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. I look at Saquon Barkley, and I'm trying to figure out how do you stop a guy that's a threat, a running back that, clearly you got to defend the entire field against him, but they have great wide receivers in A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, so, do you want to dedicate 8 guys in the box? How would you defend that Eagles offense in this Super Bowl?
Well, I'll tell you, defending the Eagles, defending Kansas City, a lot of it comes down to what do they do well and who do you have to stop. I mean, when I was putting game plans together, it is who are they, all right? What do we have to stop, and how do we stop it? All right, and we understand and we know that if we take the star away, they're good enough in this league that they will go to somebody else, and then it becomes a match game. All right, down in distance, field position, and then you making your call at the appropriate time. And if you can win those situations, then chances are you can win the game. But they're too good in this league to be able to shut a guy down if they have the ability to go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Some teams, if you take away what they do well, they don't have the ability at some positions to beat you. So take away what they do well and try to make them beat you with somebody else. And basically that was the philosophy.
Romeo, I don't know if everybody knows this, but you went down, or you are, the oldest head coach in the NFL history. When Saquon was approaching Eric Dickerson's record, they asked Eric Dickerson, did he want to give it up? We got Pete Carroll back in the league. I think he's going to surpass you. Did you take pride in that record? You okay with him breaking that record?
Sure. because I'm out of it now, and he can have it.
Yeah. Coach, are you down? You're down in the Carolinas now, right? You're enjoying the warm weather all the time.
Well, I'm enjoying the warm weather, but it's in Florida.
Oh, in Florida. Oh, there we go. All right, Coach.
It's a good place to be.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. I miss you. I hope you're doing well, and enjoy the game this weekend, and hopefully we'll catch up with you down the road sometime.
All right. I look forward to it, Ted.
Thanks.
You guys take care.
Thanks, Romeo. That's former Patriots defensive coordinator Romeo Crennel.